Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. 18 after 9 o'clock. This is News and Views with me, Julie Ali, right here on Salam Media. Now, we understand that millions of boxes of oranges are spoiling in containers stranded at European ports as South Africa and the European Union lock horns in a dispute over import rules. And citrus growers are beyond themselves regarding this issue. South Africa, the world's second largest exporter of fresh citrus after Spain, filed a complaint with the World Trade Organization last month after the EU introduced new plant and health safety requirements that orange farmers say threaten their survival. So let's weigh in on this matter with Ashraf Patel, Senior Research Associate at the Institute for Global Dialogue. Ashraf Patel, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam. I really hope you're well and all is good.
Amin, thumma amin with your duas. Okay, a serious issue, isn't it? Because if this does not get addressed as soon as possible, we're talking about a loss of tons of fresh fruit of the highest quality, its export quality, and obviously loss of revenue. Who's going to pocket those losses?
Definitely, Julie. So basically, we're looking at an immediate challenge of 645 million rand worth of citrus produce from South Africa that's standing at the harbors in the EU jurisdiction. And basically, it is about the broader narrative of trade wars and the use of mechanisms, arbitrary trade rules to block produce from Africa into Europe. So there's a bigger picture emerging. But the immediate story is that the EU is acting in a punitive way, in an irrational way, by blocking our fresh produce into its markets. As you know, the very best of South African produce, we don't actually consume it, but it's exported to expensive markets such as the EU and Middle East. So these are the immediate challenges we face. 645 million rand worth of goods that may be perishable, and these are perishable goods here.
Okay, so the important question to ask here, Ashraf, is when these orders were placed with the South African Fruit Growers Association or Citrus Growers Association, surely at that point the EU should have, should have indicated that they're not interested and should not have placed the order. They wait till the shipment docks, and then they say they can't accept the shipment, and their argument is that they are guarding against a specific insect. The EU says that it is the false codling moth, a pest which is native to sub-Saharan Africa that feeds on fruits, including oranges and grapefruits. They also further go on to say that new measures require South African farmers to apply extreme cold treatment to all Europe-bound oranges and to keep the fruits at temperatures of 2 degrees Celsius or lower for 25 days. How viable is that option? And also, my initial question about why was the order placed in the first instance?
Well, you must remember, firstly, trade is not removed from politics and the broader narrative. So you have a raft of minute trade regulations that powerful nations like the EU, the US, Japan, etc., can use against developing nations if developing nations do not act in certain ways. And my assessment from a political economy point of view is that they are punishing South Africa and other countries because we're not necessarily pulling their line politically in other domains. So that could be one political economy argument. The other argument is that trade cycles in the current war economy are very complex with supply chain delays etc. So the shipping industry has been impacted upon. But to answer the broader question, we do have the Department of Trade and Industry, and they are well appraised of the complex trade rules, the cycles, the business cycles, etc. The understanding is that, remember, the WTO met in June after 4 years. They had the
Mm,
ministerial conference in Geneva. And at the ministerial conference in South Africa, India, China, Mexico, Indonesia, etc., were very vocal against the EU on a number of major issues. The big issue, essentially, Julie, is agricultural subsidy. So every year, EU farmers or US farmers on average get $40,000 per annum per farmer subsidy from their nation state. Now, in the global trade agreement, that is anti-competitive. But yet,
mm.
because they hold the power, they can continue subsidizing their farmers. And when South Africa or India and Indonesia tries to subsidize our farmers for our food needs, then they declare that as anti-competitive. So there's a lot of trade wars happening in the field of agriculture. And South Africa is a developing country, and we are standing for our rights. As Minister Naledi Pandor released last week, the new foreign policy document on national interest. And that makes for very good reading, because South Africa and Africa has to act in its national economic interest. Now, because we are acting in that way, it seems that EU is acting in a very arbitrary manner, in a very punitive mode. And I think this is the better explanation.
And I do now get the bigger picture regarding this issue. Sadly, it is the Citrus Fruit Growers Association that seems to be sitting with this huge headache. Let's assume that the EU refuses to accept this cargo of citrus fruits. What's going to happen next? Who's going to carry these costs? Undoubtedly, there are obviously insurances in place, but then obviously somebody is still carrying that cost.
Yes, that's a good question. I would imagine they are playing brinkmanship. They would, in the end, hopefully allow the produce in. The WTO does have a dispute mechanism resolution, which is now working. And in my view, the WTO should rule in South Africa's favor, hopefully. We have the first Director General of the WTO is from Africa. She's a Nigerian, Minister Ngozi. She's very good. I think we may win the space, but the point has been made by the EU that if you want to act in a certain way independently on trade and politics, they would use various mechanisms to block trade. The
Mm,
losers, Julie, would be the farmers, but
mm,
also farm workers, because what
absolutely.
farmers can then do is say, look, we haven't exported this season, and they may retrench many farm workers who are underpaid anyway. So the knock-on
Absolutely.
effects are enormous for a country like South Africa.
Not a good story at all, but let's hope and pray that the WTO does rule in our favor in this specific regard, and that these issues can then be resolved for once and for all. Ashraf, lovely talking to you after a very, very long time. Thank you indeed for your insights. Ashraf is Senior Research Associate at the Institute for Global Dialogue. Salaam alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam.
9:28 exactly, and I do understand that we have our guest from Kenya back online. He's going to talk to us about the issue around the Kenyan people having gone to the polls. Where are we standing? Has it thus far been a fair and a free election? We do know that vote counting is possibly underway as we speak. So we will be joined by Douglas, who is standing online to talk to us about that matter. But we're going for a short break before we are joined by Douglas.